Welcome back to Global with me, Matthew Amroliwala. Now, a British Member of Parliament is in hot water after he was filmed in a parliamentary meeting playing a game on his tablet. Nigel Mills is the Conservative MP for Amber Valley in Derbyshire, and he made the front page of the Sun newspaper while seemingly engrossed in a game of Candy Crush saga. Well, he's had to apologise at length, and the Prime Minister has also told him off, and Mr Mills has promised he will try not to do it in the future. But is playing a game like this really any different from doodling on your notepad during a meeting? Is your mind really distracted, or are you, in fact, keeping it engaged? Well, let's throw this around for the next few minutes with Dr. Fiona Moore, who's a business anthropologist from the School of Management at Royal Holloway University. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Really embarrassing for him.
Absolutely. It's as you said, distraction during meetings has a long and storied history. They have medieval manuscripts going back 800 years, which have student doodles down the sides. But being caught at it is certainly something else, isn't it?
Now, he, in his explanation before the fulsome apology, he was saying, no, I was fully engaged in the process. Is it possible to be doing something like that and be fully engaged in something else?
Well, it is true that some people find taking a bit of a break, as it were, during the procedure, a mini break in the mind, you know, can help refocus the mind. There's a reason people haven't been able to eliminate distraction at work, and in some ways it's that distraction is a necessary part of work. People need sometimes to take their mind off their work to focus it better on their work, if that makes sense, yes.
It wouldn't convince me if a surgeon told me he was doing something like that whilst he was operating. I wouldn't be convinced.
No, but if you heard that after he performed a highly focused bit of surgery, the surgeon went back to the break room, crashed, and played 16 rounds of Call of Duty, would you be surprised?
He was in the middle of a parliamentary sitting, though, in this particular instance. I mean, I mentioned it in the introduction. I mean, people do it all the time with all sorts of different things, doodling. I mean, is it, how different is it? I mean, it's modern technology, but how different? Or is it not different?
Arguably, the difference is that something like Candy Crush is a different sort of engagement to doodling. Doodling has an element of creativity to it, where Candy Crush has a more analytical element to it if you play it. However, one of the things that this throws up to me is the whole question of what is a meeting. If you think about it, a meeting's got a very artificial structure. You file in, you sit down, people usually sit in a certain way, somebody talks for 20 minutes, there are pictures, there are slides, there is coffee, people ask questions, and everybody goes away. And if you think about it, this is very artificial behavior, but we don't think about how artificial it is. And some people have been experimenting with different sorts of meetings, different ways of conducting a meeting that are more natural to human beings.
Oh, I'll come to that in a moment, but this, I mean, it's had an enormous response to this story, as you could understand. I just want to go through a few of the things that we've got from social media. Anthony Bruno says, well, considering at least half of us are reading this article and commenting on it whilst at work, and it tells its own story. Another person, Darian Lowe, says it's perfectly OK as long as you don't get caught, which I suppose is absolutely critical in something like this. But it's just a modern version of doodling, says Rolando. It's a sign of non-commitment, says Mohammed Kande. Do you think that's possibly true, that if you're not totally engaged in something that is important, this was work and pensions, it shows some element of not really engaging with the issue at hand?
It can do. One of the things I would advise if somebody finds there's an employee with a consistent distraction problem is that there's a performance management issue, that this employee is working in an area that isn't really engaging them, that isn't really something that's that they want to do, in which case you've got to ask how to motivate the employee properly.
Just briefly, you said people are trying different things to get meetings more interesting. Very briefly, what sort of things? People standing up, people having to be forced to actually engage, ask questions? Well,
one of them is to dispense with the presentation entirely, or circulate it beforehand, and then come to the meeting and say, right, we all know what I'm going to talk about, let's go straight to the questions. And
we've got to go straight to the break, but thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. Thank you very much. Don't go away, plenty more here on Global.